Hello and welcome to 6 at Night on 6TV, the Oxford channel. I'm Sasha Norris, and tonight's show brings together two of my greatest passions, poetry and wildlife. Because the symbol here at St Edmund Hall, the Oxford College, is the chuff, a very rare bird. And they've published an anthology of poems all about the chuff. And I'm here for the launch.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this launching of Chatter of Chuffs, and welcome to St Edmund Hall. It's a great pleasure to see you all here. I'm sorry we've had to start a few minutes late, but poets are not necessarily known for their punctuality, so I think that's... Right, I have a couple of friends who are chemists in the audience, and they must wonder what on earth I'm doing here as a chemist introducing and being on a stage with such distinguished poets. What on earth I'm doing here? Well, obviously, partly because it's a St Edmund Hall event and publication in a way, but in a sort of unwitting way, I had something to do with the start of all this, and it's grown in a way that I could never have believed.
Okay, I'm joined now by Lucy Newland, and we're outside the old dining hall here at St Edmund Hall. And Lucy, behind us, in the old dining hall, there's a collection of poets, from the sort of completely unknown to the really very famous.
Yes.
How have you brought together this group of poets, and why are they here?
Well, really, it's quite an astonishing event, actually. I mean, it grew out of a college occasion, a feast, very similar to the one that was happening this evening, when we all, several of us in the SCR, decided that we might like to gather together a collection of poems dedicated and inspired by the chuff, which is the symbol of St Edmund Hall, and is there on our heraldic emblem, 4 chuffs and a gold cross.
Now, why is the chuff a symbol of St Edmund Hall?
Well, it's connected partly with St Edmund, who is this medieval figure who set up the teaching of arts in this particular institution back in the Middle Ages, and who became the first Archbishop of Canterbury, and then subsequently Oxford's first saint. But after that, there are also some connections with Canterbury itself and with Thomas à Becket, all of whom share the chuff as their symbol. And it's possible also, this is a very interesting thing, that in its early history, the college may have been a Cornish college. In other words, that it was a hall of residence for people from Cornwall who came and stayed here to do their degrees.
And the chuff is a symbol of Cornwall?
The chuff is the symbol of Cornwall. The chuff is on the county arms of Cornwall. It is this very rare, very beautiful bird, and has always been associated with the cultural history of Cornwall and with its regional, its national identity.
Now, you had the idea to bring together a book of poems, but it's one thing to have an idea and it's another thing to do it. How has it come together?
Well, really, it's just a question of energy, actually, and there's been a kind of cumulative energy. It's been a massively enjoyable project and very, very collaborative. I mean, I approached a few poets that I knew in the university and asked them to contribute poems, and then I approached other poets and asked them to contribute poems, and then students, and then other people in the college. And because it was gathering momentum, everybody really got very excited by it and wanted to be included in it. And so I think what's extraordinary is we have here a volume that does kind of reach out across all the boundaries, and it gathers together a community of people who are interested in poetry and interested in this beautiful bird. Right from, academics, principals, right through to college porters. So it's a very democratising volume.
A democratic poetry book.
Exactly, yes.
A chew, a cho, a chow, a chuff, or even choff, I've had enough. And so I thought that was a suitable end to my speech, and that's how it went. Lucy, when she heard the poem, being much more professional and expert in these matters, said it was a terrible poem, and so it was no good at all. But she said that she could do a lot better, and she had friends that could even do better still. And so really, I was a bit sceptical about all this, but nonetheless, she kept to her word with tremendous enthusiasm, dedication, and she certainly has a lot more friends than I do. And here they are. Sasha Norris is going to start, and she's an ornithologist by trade, so she frightens me doubly because she's a poet and an author, and a keen conservationist and a published poet, as it says here. And she also works for Channel 6. So, Sasha, if you'd like to start.
Very much. Hi. Well, tonight we're going to hear about all sorts of chuffs, eccentric chuffs, charming chuffs, mythological chuffs. But before we start, I thought we could spare a few minutes to hear about the science of the chuff. As mentioned, the Latin name, the scientific name for chuff is Pyrrhocorax pyrrhocorax. It's a member of the crow family. It's a corvid, but unlike other crows, the magpies, the crows, the ravens, it doesn't get itself into trouble by eating the chicks of birds that we like to shoot, like grouse or pheasants, or indeed songbirds, because it uses its long curved bill to probe in the soil and dig out insects and other invertebrate prey. And it's got a 30 to 40 centimetre wingspan. It's a glossy black bird with iridescent purple and green.
Come on, sir. Here's the place. Stand still. How fearful and dizzy it is to cast one's eyes so low. The crows and chuffs that wing the midway air show scarce so gross as beetles. Halfway down hangs one that gathers samphire. Dreadful trade. Methinks he seems no bigger than his head. The fishermen that walk upon the beach appear like mice, and yon tall anchoring bark diminished to her cock a boy, almost too small for sight. The murmuring surge that on the unnumbered idle pebble chafes cannot be heard so high.
Old Redfoot Jackdaw, you know where to pick your retirement home, drawn by the artist's tax concessions to the southern sweep of the Great Blasket, where Europe's tourists, safe in their fleeces around Ganges, cower against the August squall. When the rain stops, they'll hear you, cracking behind them somewhere off the moss-beaten track. Or when the suns come out again, outside the clubhouse in Ballybunion, where you while away the summer afternoon in the company of other shy exiles.
Becoming heraldic is the kiss of death. It means you were, and soon you never were. You are fabulous. Not one girl nowadays can summon a unicorn. He has gone so pale. And even the black and red bird, not a soul. How quaint Mac Truan looks in his Gorseth robes, grinning like a piskie. He had the knowledge on the old tongue at his fingertips, every inch from Land's End to the Tamar Bridge. I've got his books in Oxford, but it's not the same. One and all was the motto, and the 15 bezants, dwindling in the pattern 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Like the possibility
Everything
of
going,
fish in
going,
unfished waters.
gone.
Of the risen Christ, or the honest man, or the first poem in the life of a language. There were days when I lied about seeing one, quietly to myself, just to get the feel of it. It was something else, I knew. They said, if you were going to see one, you'd see one there, there. But I never did see one. Until I went and settled in the wilderness, and then I saw them every day.
Bernard, a chatter of chuffs is a bit of a strange thing for anyone to go out and buy a book on, isn't it? A book about chuffs. Why would you think it sort of has relevance to people?
Well, the Chuffs just bring everybody together, I think. I mean, there are all kinds of writers, from students to members of the college, and also big names who are kind of bird writers like Andrew McNeely and Tom Paulin, and of course Terry Jones and Monty Python. So it's been quite a big event, and in a way it doesn't. The subject is significant, but it's not what it all turns on. It's a way of bringing a book together about about something that people, are kind of concerned with, but is out of the ordinary.
Do you think, is this kind of a common way of putting together a book of poems, or have you ever come across this before?
I think it's completely unique. I can't remember anything quite like this, really, but and it's remarkable what kind of response they've had. The Tom Paulin's poem is clearly a Tom Paulin poem. It's very recognisable in his style and so on, and yet it's passionately involved with what it's like, bird watching on the coast of Donegal. And
the O'Donoghue poem is clearly an O'Donoghue poem.
Well, I don't know. You have to take it on its merits.
I think it's quite unusual. Well, I don't know. I mean, what was your poem? Where was the inspiration coming from?
But Chuffs, of course, are still widely present in the southwest of Ireland and right down the west coast of Ireland in ways that they're not in much of the British Isles, really. So I've watched Chuffs there, so I was pleased to have the occasion to talk about bird watching there. But also it's about places like Ballybunion, seaside places, where people go to play golf and stuff. So it brings lots of things together.
Because you enjoy bird watching, don't you?
I do in a small way. I'm not a specialist like you, but I do like bird watching. Yes.
Bernard O'Donoghue, thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Somewhere in the pine trees beyond the loch, 2 stones are being knocked together. Once, twice, 3 times. Very dry. Maybe it's a chain gang in the quarry. There is no quarry, though, and there never was a chain gang. Only the little chunks of red granite on the long looping bog road tell of famine relief, congested districts, that human weather that sticks like salt stains or burrs in your hair. No, I realise all these are not, in fact, the case. It's a chuff I hear, its clattery cry, that's like the real hard stuff, poaching distilled on stony hills, where the black creature should be sounding its red beak, its curved bill against the screes.
Until my hour comes round, all time disowns me. By neglect, by poverty, I am undone. My place, my name forsake me. But this I know, this I foresee, that like our noble king, bird-shaped and black-hooded, fiery-beaked, I will haunt this land, unrecognised, save only by the trusted few. Here in my garret, once your cell, you to yourself I willingly resign. Your signature, your quill, your parchment, I forgo. Here begins my glory, my posterity. I drink deep from this chalice. I compose my fame. I fling my arm down, so.
I'm drawn back for a moment to the near water by a clatter of chuffs climbing off the headland, aiming somewhere for God. This is no trick of aeronautics, but the genuine effect. God's flyers, you called them, inking the air with trial after trial, localized as downpour, a pencil of rain.
I brought Lucy Wilkinson from the feast, which is going on behind us in the hall, because Lucy, I discovered while we were having supper that you did the illustrations, didn't you, for the book?
Well, I did some of them. I did the chalk drawings in the front of the book, but the cartoons were done by Geoffrey Bourne-Taylor, who's the bursar of the college.
He's the bursar here at Edmonds Hall. And how did you come to do the illustrations?
Well, basically through talking to Lucy Newlin, who organised the whole book. She was my tutor of English when I was here doing English at Tully Hall. And she found out that I'd done an illustration degree before I did my English degree. And so she kind of collared me and said, please will you do some pictures? And I didn't imagine that it would blow up into the thing it has become. But I thought I'd go with it because I had a fondness for Lucy and a fondness for the hall. I thought I'd try and do something good for the whole thing.
That's really exciting, isn't it, that you started and you've done, so you did 2 degrees, one after another?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
One in illustration, where was that?
Manchester.
Okay, and then you came here and studied English literature?
That's right, yeah.
And so really this book is kind of like a little sort of a symbol of you, in a way, the sort of poetry together with the illustrations.
Well, in a kind of way, but I didn't contribute any poetry to the book.
Right.
So
okay. You contributed enough in your drawings.
I contributed my drawings, yeah, which is a large part of my life and probably what I will want to end up doing. Right. But obviously I'm influenced greatly by the poetry, and it made a big difference to have the poetry there, to be a kind of source of inspiration. So.
And you were saying about your favourite poem, your favourite illustration that you did.
Yeah.
that you really felt you were kind of connecting with the poem.
Well, I really liked this poem and this illustration in particular because I identified strongly with the sense of the poem and the Arthurian legend behind it, and I felt that was one of the most interesting parts of the Chuff legend, is that the Chuff is supposed to be the spirit of Arthur flying up into the universe and sort of becoming more than the Chuff itself, more than the bird itself.
And that's Arthur's face there.
That's supposed to be the dead Arthur lying on his tomb. This is his army kind of disappearing into the distance, and this is the spirit of Arthur flying up into the sky and turning into abstraction.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Lucy, for talking to us, even though you've had a couple of glasses of wine. I think it added to the
thank
interview.
you for adding that to the interview.
You're lucky we didn't get you right at the end of the evening, which is what we're going to do with some other poor souls in there. Thank you very much, Lucy. It's brilliant.
I met a chuff as I came here, who I thought was acting queer. His beak was wagging up and down. He wore an academic gown. And as I stared, I saw his wings were wrapped around some curious things, a scarf, an oar, a rugger ball. I thought, a member of the hall. I'd better buy the bird a beer. And so I did, but dear, oh dear. He knocked it back so quick, I knew he'd soon be flying, as chuffs do. And so I said, please, drink no more. I tried to snatch it from his claw. But goodness me, that chuff was tough. He fought me off. He was quite rough. I yelled at him, you're a disgrace to drink so much and in this place. For I had noticed something odd. We now were standing in the quad of Teddy Hall, that hallowed square in which intoxication's rare. But he kept drinking undeterred. He was a most determined bird. And as he swallowed more and more, he dropped the scarf, the ball, the oar, and then he tottered to the well, waved both his claws, and then he fell. I pulled him out and set him down, but he went staggering round the town. His eyes were glazed, he squawked and swore, and I thought, I've been here before. I tried to stop him with a frown, but he threw up upon his gown, and that was when I said, that's it. You're not a chuff, you're just a tit. I left him there. I'd had enough of that unsteady Teddy Chuff.
With Jenny Lewis and Terry Jones of Monty Python fame. Jenny Lewis is Oxford Channel poet. And the two of you
Yes.
were at Oxford together, weren't you?
We were. Yes, we were. We went out together.
And you
Yes.
stayed in together.
Yes.
We won't go into that. Hang on a minute.
Over the years, we've seen each other, yes.
And you've remained friends. Now,
Yeah.
how do you feel coming back to Edmonds Hall to do this reading?
Well, I've always felt sort of like I wasn't part of the college, really. I mean, I felt that when I was here, really. Everybody seemed to, it's like going to a yachting club or something. Everybody seems to know something that you don't. I always thought maybe it was just coming from a grammar school or something like that did it. But,
I think Oxford is like that, actually,
Yeah.
isn't it? There's a certain sort of sense that unless you're sort of wearing the right coat of arms or, got the right handshake,
I think you always feel that everyone else is having a better time than you are.
But in fact, you were having a good time, really.
I was pretty miserable. First year, 2 years, I think I was pretty miserable. And then the third year, I came back and we'd done a review at the theatre, at the Phoenix Theatre in London. So I'd been on the West End stage, me and Doug Fisher.
Was that He Who Gets Slapped?
No,
that was
4 Asterisks. It was a review.
Oh, that was the 4 Asterisks.
Yeah. So then suddenly I was sort of third year and sort of everybody said, "Oh, you must be in our shows," and things like that. So.
Oh, that was while you were actually still at Oxford.
Yeah.
And then you did Hang Down Your Head and Die on the West End stage.
We did. That was the vacation before I did my finals. I was doing performing in the Comedy Theatre in London.
So did you get your degree with all this other distractions going on, including?
Well, I never actually got it. Actually,
You passed it.
Yeah, but I never actually went and got it, and so. And because it cost £12 in those days, and I just didn't have £12 to go and collect it. Yeah, so, and then it got a bit embarrassing. Thinking, oh, that's right, the college were going to make me an honorary fellow. So they said, you haven't got your degree. So they had to give me my degree. They paid for me they paid for my
How
degree.
much was it then? Was it much more or about the
Well,
same?
this was about 2 years ago. I don't know what it was. I didn't ask, but if you hold on long enough, you don't have to pay.
Now, do you feel that the sort of Oxford traditions and the craziness of the traditions here, do you think they contributed to some of your wackier comedy?
Oh, I'm sure they did, yes. But I think...
You don't have to say yes.
Well, I mean,
We're
it was...
standing here in the Chaucerian sort of the legends section of the
We
English.
were saying earlier, weren't we, that your interest in Chaucer started here? And that
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think I
you've
said
done
that.
lots of work, books on Chaucer.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of, I think it was sort of writing an essay about the night, actually, for Del Colby, who was here doing us for a couple of years. And yeah, it was, I think, I originally wanted to go to Cambridge because I wanted to do modern poetry, and it was coming to Oxford. It was all medieval stuff. It was the emphasis, and actually, in the end, I was really glad because I really got into the medieval stuff.
You had to do Anglo-Saxon, didn't you?
Don't you have to? You don't have to do
Well,
that anymore.
I didn't, but most people do.
Yeah.
Because I did a mature student entry, I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. I was hoping to Anglo-Saxon.
And you've done some, since Monty Python, you've done quite a lot of children's writing, haven't you? And you've done a series on the Vikings.
No, I made a feature film called Eric the Viking, which was sort of based on a children's book I called, which was called Eric the Viking. It's quite interesting.
It's coincidental.
Yeah, coincidental, yeah. No, I'm doing a series of things now based on my Chaucer reading. The series called the Squire books, the Knight and the Squire and the Lady and the Squire, and they're kind of about a boy caught up in the 100 Years' War. So that's kind of, it started off with I was going to do Chaucer's Knight's Progress, and where he goes. Oh, you've gone. She suddenly disappeared.
Sorry, I just thought you might want to come down in front of him. Do you want to? No, okay. Thank you very much for talking to us. I guess we better go back and join the throng.
That's Martin Smith, Ian Lang, who are new St Edmund Hall Fellows of the college, and they've been tremendously innovative and generous towards the college. Martin Smith.
Tawny-eyed kittens in baked courtyards, burrowing and sucking, and young girls larking down marbled passages, skipping morning school. Dance lines of palm trees practicing curtsies, the sips and kisses of dazed water.
It's a rare old bird, and no one's ever seen it, excepting yourself, not for centuries at least. And you come along and say, you spotted it in a tree. Nice touch, that spotted. Roosting, no less, on an egg so big it made the boughs creak, an egg as big as a ton of marble and as smooth. The tree was perfumed and waxy leaved, and like the bird and its egg, you say,
like loops of an
one of a
element.
kind.
No dictionary definition can hold you.
There it was.
Cliff-top sentry, patroller of coastlines, you watch for danger, invasions, change guard on the airwaves, your accent like scratches on stone, dashed off and eroded, migrating from
Viking still in my head, there is your songbook. Bare ruined choirs where late sweet birds sang. Bet they don't know I know that or where it's from. Sod them, don't care. Another talks past, just like you as you fly, Arthur. Bet you didn't know I knew that. With my Arthur bottle of matches king size. No fags though. Ask. What are they laughing at? Try to retort. Another gawks past, wide eyes. This I perceive which makes your voice more strong. Another walks past, and more shall ere long.
To the Chuff, a rare and beautiful bird on the Virgin Extinction in Britain. May you scatter, sleek, bright and slayed over the cliffs and scrags still. May you probe unearthly in heaven and keep away the cruel snipe of sniper, feed your chicks, and opening, voice the sharp, strange scarlet song of your forebears. Though you inhabit end of earth, land's end, the edge of rock pools, the fringe of losing, lost, loss. Though you breathe in the wind which peers over the pier to extinction, Carry, chuff, the force of flight, the wing thrust, wing beat, yours, mine, ours, over the kingdom, blast, bringing wisdom, peace. On stony ocean stair, by moat and fairy tale defended, as the wind's cadence carries myths, tales and legends, roost safe and still, O Chuff, home again.
May the gift and streaming touch find you, scarlet song open your voice.
May you return to losing, lost, end of earth, land's end.
May you call back home again along that vista, where echo home, echo warm, echo safe, echo still.
An opening, a voicing of sharp red song without thorn of envy.
May the Celtic pelt thrust your wing beat with lightning, the buckling silence vest you with peace.
May the shard of cruel thorn find forage you not.
Yours, mine, ours, the silence.